Good morning, class. Welcome to our class today, that is Chemistry Techniques 2. Now, previously we have been discussing on gravimetric analysis, which basically involve the measurements of samples for analysis. Now, today we want to look at another topic that is called separation and purification techniques. Now, we want to define what we mean by separation. Basically, separation refers to the division of components or division of substances into distinct elements. So basically, we can say that separation is a purification technique because you are trying to divide a particular substance into distinct elements, or a particular component into distinct elements. Now, we have different types of techniques that you can apply in separation. Number one is chromatography. Number two is filtration. Number three is sublimation. Number four is centrifugation. Then we have distillation, sedimentation. We have magnetization. Then we have precipitation, electrophoresis, and calentation. Now, to start us off, we want to look at the first one, that's chromatography. Now, chromatography, it comes from the word chroma. Chroma means color. So, when we talk about chromatography, we talk about the extraction of colors based on the principle that the component of the mixture of the colors can be separated and concentrated into zones by passage into two-phase systems. Now, the main two-phase system we normally use in chromatography, we have the stationary phase and the mobile phase. Now, these two phases are applicable in all the types of the chromatography technique we're going to mention. For example, chromatography, thin layer chromatography, we have the column chromatography, gas liquid chromatography, and then the high performance liquid chromatography. Now, we want to briefly discuss about the paper chromatography. Now, in paper chromatography, basically we are extracting or we are separating the colors in a particular mixed sample of colors to get a distinct color of our reference. Now, in this particular technique, we use an absorbent paper which is able to absorb the solvent. Mostly the solvent we use in our case for this particular technique is normally the organic solvent, like we can use the alcohol or like the ethanol. Now, we can give example, a kind of experiment we can carry out to demonstrate paper chromatography is when you have a letter or a message written in ink in some 3 pens used to write a message in a letter, and you want to identify which particular blue pen was used in writing that letter. Now, you can carry out a simple experiment like this one. You can have a filter paper or absorbent paper, which you are going to use to spread the two colors. Then in this paper, you can draw a line and place the ink. We call this line the solvent line. Now, for the 3 pens that you will use to write later, all of them blue, you can place the ink at these points. And then you suspend your ink in a solvent, in diagram like this one. You suspend your ink in the solvent paper, in a solvent container like this one. So the solvent is going to help to flow the ink along the solvent front. The point going to be reached, the uppermost point or the highest point that can be reached by the solvent is called the solvent front. Solvent front basically is the solvent itself. The solvent normally acts as the mobile phase, carrying along with it colors from this base point where we have placed our colors. So as it moves along the paper, because it has air affinity, it's going to carry along with it the components, the ink component in these three main spots we have made in our paper of the three pens used in writing the message. Remember, we are trying to find out which ink was basically used in writing that message because all of them are blue. So to help us, we are going to carry out the simple experiment. As we have said, you obtain an absorbent paper or a filter paper, and then you mark a line, then you place your three ink from the pen used in writing, and then you suspend your paper in a container with a solvent. We have said the solvent acts as the mobile phase because normally, as we have said, the principle involves these three main phase systems. We have the stationary phase and mobile phase. The solvent will act as the mobile phase, whereas this ink you are trying to carry out experiment on the file was used to write the message, they are the one going to act as the stationary phase. So as the solvent moves along the paper, it is going to carry along with it the color component in these three pens. And then this component, the colors in these three pens, are going to be placed at different point because each of them, they move at different rates. For example, red can move up to there, black can move to there, blue up to there, and so on and so on. So from the absorbent paper or filter paper, you will be able to notice the position occupied by the blue ink that you are investigating as being used in writing the message in the letter or in the passage. So that will help you to know which among these pen 1, pen 2, pen 3 was used in writing the message. So where the blue component, color component is going to be formed along as the solvent carries along within the solvent paper, will be able to tell you which of the pen was used in writing the message. For example, assume this is the blue. This one is red. This one is black. This one is light blue. So if it's the blue color, it will tell us that the pen used in writing the message was the pen number 2. The pen number 2. So that's a simple experiment you can carry out to find out which color component actually were used in writing the message in your paper. Now, in our next class, we shall look at the other techniques can be used in purification or separation techniques in our next class as for under the chromatography. Today we have mentioned the paper chromatography, which can simply carry out in the lab. So in our next class we shall look at the thin layer chromatography. So thank you so much for listening for our discussion. Thank you.